Hello and welcome to the Progress Period presentation, where every day, every month, we are here. Andy, Katara, Noah, and I, Tyus, are here to inform you about the overlooked problem in society, period poverty. Also with us is Aaron and Maddie, who will help answer questions if any arise. Everyone watching has either had a period or knows someone who's had one. What some may not know is in poverty, the people who experience menstruation are forced to choose between buying their menstrual products or their next meal. Now, when looking at the 2019 demographics, 219,911 women are labeled as homeless, as well as 3,255 transgender individuals. This can be sheltered or unsheltered. Now, this makes up 39.3% of the homeless population in the United States. Now, an average person experiencing menstruation will spend about 2,535 days of their life menstruating. Now, not all 200,000 plus individuals will have enough money to buy menstrual products that will last them 2,500 days. And for those who are still employed, part or full-time, about 36% miss one or more days of work per month due to their period. The effect of the missed work and time is an efficient result for the employer, as they are putting time and resources into an employee who is no longer able to complete their job to a satisfactory level during menstruation, which is not something that they can control. This plays into financial struggle for the people affected, as well as less involvement in the community. Because of this struggle and high cost of menstrual products, many of the individuals are forced to find alternatives to proper products. These alternatives can be such as newspapers, older used magazines, rags, plastic bags, and many more. Many people would assume that these may sound like good replacements, but in reality, these replacements can cause some serious health risks. The first health risk that we looked into was TSS, or also known as toxic shock syndrome. Now, TSS is life-threatening complication of bacterial infections. This infection occurs when women going through menstruation aren't changing their tampons or other menstrual products frequently. Now, in this case, this can be the newspapers, socks, older used rags. This can cause low blood pressure, seizures, vomiting, or diarrhea. If not treated quickly, the results can potentially be fatal. Other potential health risks that we looked into are HPV and cervical cancer. These alternatives prolong the exposure to dirty items, which can lead to vaginal infection. These infections can suppress the reproductive tract's natural defenses, which weakens the immune system, making women more vulnerable to sexually transmitted HPV, also known as human papillomavirus, which is the leading cause of cervical cancer. Based on a couple already established groups and organizations, we as a group came up with a couple solutions to help spread awareness as well as provide for people in need.
The first existing solution we looked into was Days for Girls, established in 2008. Days for Girls increases access to menstrual care and education by developing global partnerships, cultivating social enterprises, mobilizing volunteers, and innovating sustainable solutions that end the stigmas around periods. The founder and CEO, Celeste Mergens, was working with an orphanage near Nairobi, Kenya, and learned that the girls in the orphanage had no menstrual products. They sat in their rooms on pieces of cardboard for several days each month, only eating when someone brought them food. Her first idea was disposable pads, but found a major problem. They didn't have any way to dispose of the pads. She found that it was neither a viable nor sustainable solution. Thus came the idea of washable, long-lasting pads. Today, Days for Girls has reached more than 1 million women and girls in over 125 countries with both their reusable kits and menstrual health education. The second solution we found was an organization called Helping Women Period, led by their founders, Lisney Tate and Amy Stephenson in 2015. Their nonprofit organization was started with a Facebook post about homeless women's lack of hygiene products that started a one-time fundraising breakfast. This would allow them to buy a few cases of products and give it to a local homeless shelter. The overwhelming response to the breakfast led them to form the nonprofit organization in Lansing, Michigan. Listening and her organization have period supply drives where individuals in the community can donate products or money for the organization to purchase products, where they then take the products to distribution centers like homeless shelters and shelters for women. This organization solely focuses on helping Lansing, Michigan, and hasn't really broadened their scope yet, but they're really helping their own community. They encourage donating more pads than tampons due to the large refugee population in Lansing and religious restrictions regarding period products. Also realizing that access to a consistent washing system for usable products was not applicable in their area, therefore focusing on disposable products. We talked with Listening on the phone and found that there are many vulnerable populations with restrictions we didn't think of in our preliminary brainstorming. Taking lots of inspiration from this organization, we began to build off of it. Our applied innovation will be starting our nonprofit in Milwaukee. We chose Milwaukee because of the large population size and resources available for us to contact. Much like Helping Women Period, we plan on being a middleman rather than a hands-on organization like Days for Girls. Our goals are to serve the underserved populations with hygiene and dignity. We would be hosting period supply drives where people could donate products or make a monetary donation so we could buy the products at cost and connect with the existing community structures that already have bonds with the menstruating community in the area. We do differ from Helping Women Period in the ways that we would like to expand past Milwaukee and help other communities increase their menstrual health care. We also differ from these organizations by reaching out to communities past just women and girls. We'll be reaching out to the trans and non-binary communities as well. In general, we plan to work with schools, libraries, churches, and other community organizations to host drives that will collect menstrual supplies. To Milwaukee specifically, we plan to work closely with clubs and organizations on the UW campus. We have reached out to a handful of students to find what organizations would be interested in either helping host period supply drives or by sewing the reusable pads. The organizations include most of Greek life on campus, multicultural organizations, and more specifically groups such as Hearts for the Homeless, Women's Resource Center, and Changing Health, Attitudes, and Actions to Recreate Girls. We also found that surrounding campuses, organizations would also help, such as Enactus teams on the Carthage and Whitewater campuses. Specific organizations and structures that would be more than willing to receive and distribute products include homeless shelters, shelters for women and children, domestic violence shelters, the Boys and Girls Club, soup kitchens, and food pantries. In Milwaukee, we've had contact and approval from the Joy House, Milwaukee Rescue Mission, the Women's Shelter, South Milwaukee Human Concerns, and City on a Hill Incorporated.
In regards to the funding side of our applied innovation, our primary source of revenue will be through donations. In order to make ourselves more attractive for potential donors, we will be applying for 501c3 tax-exempt status prior to soliciting their donations. 501c3 status allows an organization to be exempt from federal and most state taxes. Achieving this status will allow our future donors to receive tax deductions for any contributions they make towards our cause. As a 501c3 nonprofit organization, we will be required to prove either our charitable, religious, or educational purpose. Religious organizations often apply for this status. However, we do not intend to demonstrate a religious purpose, as it just does not align with our mission as an organization, as we will be serving the transgender and non-binary members of the community. In regards to funding, obtaining sponsorship donations will be critical because sponsorships will fund our big projects. Projects require a lot of thoughtful planning, and even though some may be able to be accomplished by single sponsors, more often than not, multiple sponsors are required. As Guitar mentioned before, we are already looking into partnering with other nonprofit organizations to share the fiscal burden of what we are trying to do. Sponsorships would allow us to receive and acknowledge charitable contributions. It requires us to control and have discretion over our funds and request records and reports to fulfill our oversight responsibilities. As fiscal sponsors, tax-exempt organizations can provide infrastructure and support for a startup project or new organization, as well as a home for the organization's donations. Another avenue for revenue would be the various grants that we would apply for and use to purchase items at cost and deliver them as needed. Once we have accumulated enough funds, the budget for our nonprofit will look similar to that of the pie chart before you, with portions of our funds going towards monthly giving, sponsorships, major gifts, grants, events, and direct public appeal. We also want to be able to sustain at least 2 full-time paid positions because we just need employees to aid in soliciting donations, community outreach, and data collection. In the first year, our employees will begin as part-time volunteers until we achieve 501c3 status. Once we have achieved this status, we will be supplying our employees with an annual salary of roughly $30,000 a year to keep them above the poverty line. We calculated this number based off the cost of living in Milwaukee. The funding for these positions would be paid for by sponsorships and grants. A huge component that would aid in the advertising and solicitation of donations for our cause would be our online presence. Now before you on the slides is a mock-up of what our website would look like. In the top right corner, you can see that we have our social medias with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then we also have access to a Venmo account where people can donate online. We also have tabs where explaining who we are, what we do, and how to get involved. And then the main headlines that are in the center of the screen explain how you can access locations near you. They talk about our kits and even have a section of how to still be involved with our cause during this pandemic. At the bottom, we also have a space where one can sign up to receive our weekly newsletters and email updates from our team. Through our online services, people will be able to find out what we're all about. They can purchase our supplies, they can donate, and they can also find out how to help near them. Products we would be supplying are hygiene products like tampons, pads, reusable pads, liners, discretion bags, and how-to kits. As a group, we decided that we will not be providing menstrual cups due to the need for varying sizes and because the fitting would need to be done in person. As mentioned earlier, we will have various kits available. These kits draw inspiration from the Days for Girls kits that are made by their chapters and teams all over the world, as you can see in the pictures before you. All of the kits will include pH balanced cloths and unscented bars of soap, similar to those sold by Summer's Eve, a brand of feminine hygiene products. Our kits are separated by kits for women who are ages 50 and over or may have had a child, and individuals who are under 50 and have not had a child yet. From there, the people who will be using our products will have the option of disposable or reusable kits that are either only pads, half pads, half tampons, or only tampons. The reasoning behind why we have so many different kinds of kits is because some people may not be able to access fresh running water to be able to clean the reusable kits, and because of people's ages and religious preferences. For example, a young teen will need a different kit than a new mother, and in some religions, people are not able to use tampons till after a certain age or even after marriage. All of our kits will be able to be refilled on a monthly basis.
So, during this COVID-19 pandemic, many of the structures serving our target populations are overtaxed and operating very limitedly. This makes some of our research unethical to begin, as we do not pose any way to help them, and we are just really asking about hypotheticals. The standard email we would have sent to Milwaukee organizations follows the structure shown. Good morning. I'm a student at Ripon College conducting research on the need for menstruation products. My research group and I are attempting to ascertain the need in our community so we might design a solution. We are in the process of organizing a nonprofit by the name of Progress Period. We would provide existing structures with these products so they can be distributed through regular operations. We would love to hear your thoughts on this and have some questions if you would be willing to answer via email or conference call. Thank you for your time and consideration. We used an email similar to this when contacting Leslie Tate, the Director of Helping Women, and after our conference call, she sent us examples of what she sends people asking for help. We also developed a donation request letter as directed by our communication majors and examples provided to us by Director Tate. Some partners we would have liked to solidify more are the Boys and Girls Club, local churches, and Rotary groups. Others include the UW, Milwaukee, and other nearby campuses student groups like Enactus and Greek Life Philanthropies. An association we would plan to join is the Alliance for Period Supplies, a broad network that connects people in need with suppliers in their area. Although we couldn't make these contacts, we are confident that our applied innovation would be able to serve our community with dignity following our projected timeline. Within our first months of operation in Milwaukee, we will need to secure funding other than small donations. Other than these donations, two of the main avenues we would like to start fundraising through are the Wisconsin System Quick Pitch Competition focused for students, or Project Pitch It, focused on Wisconsin entrepreneurs. Both of these programs sponsor startups and are focused specifically in Wisconsin, meaning we wouldn't be competing nationally. Throughout this first year, the two part-time employees will be focused on different tasks. The first will be working on soliciting donations and becoming a 501c3 nonprofit following IRS and the state of Wisconsin regulations. We would like to be a 501c3 nonprofit to secure more avenues for funding. If we did not create a 501c3, we would be relying on only product donations. By having this organization, we would then have the ability to put people on a payroll and accept both product and monetary donations under the same nonprofit organization. Through the IRS, we will obtain an IRS 501c3 status state compliance. We will then complete the fundraising registration through additional forms in the IRS. The process is estimated to take between 2 to 3 months, but given the current situation with COVID, we assume it could take longer and will plan to operate for 6 months without the benefits of a 501c3. To be most effective during our first year, we will also file for tax-exempt status as we start to buy products in bulk and get monetary donations. As mentioned earlier, many 501c3s file for tax-exempt status to allow future donors to receive tax deductions for any contributions that they make toward our cause, therefore incentivizing them. The first 6 months for the second worker will be busy creating strong relationships and beginning data collection from the structures we would like to provide for, and developing a network of partnerships and volunteers. The data collection will allow us to estimate the approximate number of reusable kits we will need to sew and assemble, which is the most time-consuming aspect of our efforts. Organizing volunteers will be essential in both our sewing requirements and drive distribution efforts. This employee will also run our social media and be the point of contact as we begin to run drives. After the 501c3 is approved, our financial leader will begin to explore the national funding options, and our community leader will begin to coordinate volunteers to distribute to our Milwaukee partners. After 1 year, we would like to open our services to other Wisconsin communities. We will continue data collecting to direct our proceedings to be as sustainable as possible. Everyone watching has either had a period or know someone that has. With individuals spending an average of 2,535 days of their life menstruating, our solution will help alleviate the stress that impoverished individuals go through during menstruation. Feel free to direct any questions to Madison King at kingm@ripon.edu, and we will get back to you promptly. Thank you for your time and stay safe.